All right, fellow babies, we're back with a new edition of Pach-Attack. We have a question from Twitter from @DeusExMachina. Do you think the 360 PS3 intentionally undershipped units to retailers at launch to restrict supply? If so, would they do so again with PS4 and Xbox One? No and no. Look, lesson in economics, okay? There was a console called the GameCube a few years ago, and everybody's afraid of being the next GameCube. So you don't overproduce consoles. With a launch price of $499, you can bet Microsoft is spending around $400 for every Xbox that they make, Xbox One. They can't afford to make an extra million and then find out there's not demand. That's $400 million. Now, obviously, ultimately there will be demand, but when I mentioned the GameCube sold 18 million units. The original Xbox sold 22 million. That's not a year, that's lifetime. Not very many. And they were discontinued and they never made money. They never earned back the R&D that they put, that Nintendo and Microsoft put in to making those consoles. So there's a requirement when you manufacture consoles with a third-party manufacturer that the console maker commits to a certain amount of production. And the way that they do that is they set up lines, production lines, and I'm sure you guys have seen assembly lines. I mean, it really is like parts coming in and conveyor belts, dropping parts into different workstations, and the factory workers assembling the box and soldering whatever they have to solder and bolting whatever they have to bolt, and then the finished box comes out. Those typically, will put out somewhere between 300 and 500,000 per line per month. Again, depending upon how complex the box is. So my bias is that 350 per line is probably the right number per month, which is a lot. I mean, take 350,000 and divide it by 30 or 31 days. It's 10 or 12,000 boxes a day. It's really a lot. And that means that a lot of people have to get hired. The line has to be configured to optimize the manufacturer and lower the cost to make sure that the contract manufacturer makes a profit. Adding another line is expensive. Somebody has to pay for that. So what you get with console launches is the console manufacturers commit to a certain amount of production. My bias is about 1 million boxes a month. And the idea is they're going to commit to that typically for 2 or 3 years, probably 2. So 1 million a month. I think Sony and Microsoft figure if we only sell 10 million a year instead of 12, we'll be okay, because after 2 years we'll just drop one of the lines, go down in production to 700,000 a month, and then we'll use our excess inventory. But they aren't going to commit to more than 1 million a month, because that would be foolhardy. Demand might be 2 million a month. I'd say at these prices probably not. And remember, the Xbox 360, which came out in November of 2005, has only sold 76 million units as of, I think, April or May of 2013. So, it's been out for 7.5 years. It sold 75 million units. That's literally 10 million units a year. Committing to more than 12 million is crazy, especially at this price point. The PS3, same thing, 74 million units in 6.5 years. So closer to 11 million units a year. They're just not going to commit to more than 1 million a month. So that's how many are coming out. And to get to your question, did they restrict supply? Supply is going to be 1 million a month. So figure out what demand's going to be, and you can have my job. We don't know the answer to that. But when they start manufacture, which is shortly after they've settled on the specs, they have to order all the specs from all their different commodity suppliers. So they have to order AMD hybrid, CPU, GPU chips. They have to order Blu-ray drives from Sony. They've got to order HDMI ports, hard drives, whatever else, cables, boxes, whatever else goes into the damn thing, DDR RAM or GDDR RAM, whatever they put in. And all that stuff has to be manufactured by the component suppliers and then shipped to China for assembly. you're probably looking at August 1st to commence assembly. So assuming that the production lines are up and running pretty quickly, you're looking at 1 million a month in August, September, and October that will get onto a ship in time to be available at the November launch. So I'd say 3 million max for the launch. Maybe they don't start assembly until September. That's the thing about these boxes. You know, somebody might be getting cute and waiting for hard drive prices to come down, for example, and maybe they get a $5 break per 500 gigabyte hard drive if they wait. So again, you know, we'll get all of that information kind of when they show up. I'd expect launch quantities of 1 million units, and that's not to the US, that's 1 million total. So for Sony, probably 400,000 US, 400,000 Europe, 200,000 Japan. For Microsoft, 21 countries. So probably 300,000 US, 300,000 Europe, you know, 100,000 Japan, and 300,000 rest of world, because they got to ship to Australia and Brazil, and I didn't count all the 21 countries, but lots of places. Your guess is as good as mine, but 300,000 a month in the US, sold out. It'll sell out, even at the $499 price point. So that's the artificial restriction on supply, and it's not. From the Ask Pack forum, from Shy Zmel or Shy Simmel, probably Shy Simmel, could be, who knows. Shay? Shay is the concubine girlfriend in Game of Thrones, the dwarf's girlfriend, who I find kind of a mutt. I don't know why they would cast a mutt as a girlfriend. They could have done better casting than that woman. So Shay Simmel, I hope you're not the mutt girlfriend. I didn't mean to call you a mutt. Dearest Pack, with the recently announced prices of both the Xbox One and the PS4, why is there such a significant difference in price between the American and the European markets? For example, the PS4 will cost in Europe €399, about $530, but only $399 in the US. The only thing that is consistent is the number $399 and not the actual value. This is true pretty much regarding all prices in the video game market. Why do companies ignore the exchange rates and care only about the number? Okay, you guys in Europe, you have a concept called the value-added tax. And the value-added tax is a percentage of the sales price, typically in the high teens. I believe the UK number is 17 or 18%. You guys can correct me. I've seen it as high as 20 or 22 in some countries. And so the Europe price in euros includes VAT. So the $530 price, if you take back, you have to gross it up, the 17% VAT, it's getting you down to about $429 or something, or $439. So we're getting closer. The easy answer, though, to why they charge the same euro and dollar is because they can, and they expect to make more money. The easy answer to why they ignore the exchange rate is that exchange rates move all over the place and pricing tends not to. So they pick a number that they think is close enough to parity, so parity between dollars and euros. This is Microsoft. And they hope that over time that the translation between their home currency, in Microsoft's case the dollar, in Sony's case the yen, and the subject currency, in this case the euro, holds about the same, so they make about the same profit. It really depends on manufacturer as well. They manufacture most of these things in China, so it's not local, but these guys all have expenses in local currency. They have to advertise in local currencies as well. So that's really the reason. The one you should have asked about was the pound price, because that one is kind of wacky high. I think Microsoft overreached a bit on the price in pounds, but even then only by about 20 or 30 pounds. It's not ridiculously too high. But yes, if you start going through parity, they're picking a number that they think is going to last for the next 5 years, and as they discount by $100, they'll discount by 100 euros. So they're just making a bet on foreign currency translation into Microsoft's case dollars, in Sony's case yen, and whether they'll make money. If you look at the Japanese guys, they got destroyed when the yen got stronger. Because the dollar, for example, when the PS3 launched, was at about 100 yen, and it dropped to 80 yen. So same number of dollars, but they got only 80 yen per dollar instead of 100. So Sony and Nintendo made a lot less money on their products sold in the US market. Yen's back up to 100 now. If it ever goes to 120, they'll make a lot more on their product, but they have to make a bet, and so they're setting prices on something they think will kind of reflect forward exchange rates. And again, the real price difference is due to VAT. We pay sales tax in the US in 46 states or something, and the price that you see doesn't include sales tax. So I live in the great state of California that charges, I believe, 9.25%. So on my $399.99 PlayStation, I'm going to pay about $37 in sales tax. So my price is actually $437. Just if you want to put that back into euros, it's not quite as big a break as you think. At DBloodworth2 on Twitter. Do you think general consumers will be confused by the 3D in the title for Super Mario 3D World? I thought it was Super Mario World 3D. I'm not sure now.
It's 3D World.
3D World? Shit. There you go. I was confused. Do you think that they'll be confused by the title? Will people expect the game to be compatible with 3D TVs? I don't know. What, both of them? Both people who have a 3D TV? I don't think anybody cares. I don't think anybody's going to care at all. My bias is no. Most people who buy Nintendo games know exactly what they're getting. Don't think they care. I can't even name a person that I know who has a 3D TV who bought games just to play on a 3D TV. The one game I tried on a 3D TV was Uncharted 3, and it looked amazing, but who cares? 3D TVs are about as popular and necessary as the PlayStation Vita, and I just don't think anybody cares. So, not even a good question. Sorry, DBloodworth2, but I don't care if people are confused. It serves them right. All they have to do is ask the clerk at GameStop, and the clerk will tell them whether it's compatible or not. All right, fellow babies, if you have a question, please submit them to the Ask Pack link below, or submit them to me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. Make sure that you copy at GameTrailers and also apply the hashtag AskPack, and that's P-A-C-H for those of you who can't spell my name. It's not P-A-T-C-H. Not even a good question. Sorry, DBloodworth2, but I don't care if people are confused. It serves them right. All they have to All right, fellow babies, if you'd like to check out more episodes, you can do so on YouTube, or we'll save you some time. You can stay on the site, and you can check them out right there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Few outtakes.
The word of a generation.
It is kind of an odd word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so stupid. I feel like an idiot every time I use that word.
Dr. Awesome.